Hello everyone, I'm really excited to be back with another lovely tutorial, again using these gorgeous flowers from Chloe's Paper Craft Society box and these little ones from the Grande Floral Butterfly Stamp and Die set. They are absolutely gorgeous. I made this element, this oval element, as a floating kind of an element to the card. It's add a little bit of a dimension, but not too much. I think it is gorgeous. So the three middle flowers and the foliage were all from the Paper Craft Society box stamp set, and it is the two smaller flowers and these two foliages that I used. Now for the flowers, I just heat embossed them with white embossing powder, and from the underside I used alcohol markers, and these are the tri-blend ones. I used pinks, coral and green for the foliage on these little flowers. For the sentiment, I used the Sentiment Builder set, and I think it's so lovely. It's versatile. You have dies, you have stamps on it. I think it's really gorgeous. I really enjoy using this lately on a lot of my projects. For the foliage, I've already prepared them. So for this foliage in here, the embossing powder that I used was the Nordic Pine, and it has this lovely glitter in it. I really love using this one. And from the underside I added some glue, and I used my Crystalina glitter to add that lovely sparkle to all of them. The smaller ones I again heat embossed with Wow embossing powder, and this was the pearl white. I think it's so gorgeous. It adds that lovely pearly shine to it, and the glitter that I used again on the underside was the lime zinc to add that lovely green color to them. Now, the paper strips that I used to create this gorgeous element were from the paper pad, the beautiful butterflies, and to be honest, a lot of these were already off cuts that I wouldn't have used anywhere, just pieces of cardstock like this here. So I just cut them into strips, and I attach them to that bit of an acetate, which I will show you how I make when we are going to put this next card together. The holographic cardstock is from my own stash, and the pink cardstock that I used, this is a bit darker this time that I will be using, but they are both from this pink paper block, which I got in the range quite a while ago. So what we need to create this card, we need a 7x7 card base, which I created my own, 14 by 7 inches, and I just scored down in the middle at 7. But if you haven't got a cardstock this large or a 7x7 card base, you can just make your own by cutting one to 7x7 and the other one by 7x7.5, score down at half an inch, and use that half an inch as a little tab to glue them together. So this is the holographic cardstock. I already added some double-sided tape, but I'm going to add some color glue to it. Measures 6 3/4 by 6 3/4. And the pink cardstock that we are going to add on top of this measures 6.5 by 6.5. But before I attach it to my card, I'm going to just glitter up the edges. To do that, I'm going to use the same glitter I used on the previous card, and this is the Absolutely Pink by Chloe. So to do this, I just like to take a piece of cardstock just to use as my guide against the paper. Okay, so once this is done, I can add my glue to the back of this, and I'm using the Collal glue here, which dries nice and strong. I can just attach this to my holographic cardstock, just like so. Now I can set this aside to dry and set, and I can start working on my oval floating element for the card. And to do that, I will need a piece of acetate, a window sheet. I'm using an oval die, but you can use any shape you prefer at all. Okay, so I'm gonna give you the measurements for mine. This is what, 4¼ by 5½, so this is quite a large one. Now I have cut out a piece from a cardstock, which I'm not going to use on the card, but I'm going to use it as my template. This will guide me to see exactly where I need to stick my little strips, which I have cut from the paper pad I showed you before. And these are just really offcuts. Some of them I've cut from a full sheet, I think like this green one in here. But the rest of them were pretty much just offcuts, stuff that I would have thrown away otherwise. So it's just quite nice to be able to use them on a lovely, lovely card like this one. So I've added to some of them already a piece of double-sided tape. So I'm just going to peel this back and start to rejig them as I want them to sit on my oval. I like to put down the middle one, but I don't add exactly into the middle. I kind of offset it from the middle of the oval. Okay, so when I have them arranged the way I like, I'm going to tape my die over this, and I'm just going to try to die cut. Now I know from experience from making that previous card that this is not going to fully cut through it, but it's going to leave me a lovely mark where I can cut around it. It will guide my scissors through quite easily. Now, and to give this that floating effect on my card, I'm just going to add these foam strips, double-sided foam strips to the back of some of these. Okay, so to give that floating effect to this element on my card, I've added double-sided foam tape to the back of some of these strips. Don't need to add it to all of them because the acetate is so nice and sturdy. I'm just kind of going to mimic the positioning of this one in here because I quite like the way that one turned out. So I'm just going to add this somewhere in here. It looks alright. And now I'm going to take my foliage, and these larger ones I'm just going to cut the bottom leaves away from them because I know they are just too long and they overhang off the side of the card if I leave them in there. So I'm going to use some hot glue. So I'm just going to, I think it's just easier if I put these down now. So one in here, one on the bottom corner, like so. So that is looking gorgeous. This element would be lovely as a shaker element in there as well. I think that would be absolutely fantastic. So I'm just going to grab a couple of my bling boxes. So this one is the spring one, I think, and I've used the largest ones from this box for the middle flower, the larger one. And I went ahead and I picked out the rhinestones that I need from the pink bling box. These 4 largest darker pink ones will be going in the 4 corners of the card. And for the lovely flowers, so for these lighter colored ones, I went with the lighter pink in medium size rhinestones. And the smallest flowers on the card are going to get the smallest blings, and I chose those darker pinks, the same as I added in the corners, only in the larger size. So that's it. Now for the sentiment on here, I used "It's your birthday" because I know that this is going to be a birthday card. But for this card, I don't know what occasion it will be used for. So I went with a more generic one, and it is from exactly the same stamp and die set. And it will say, "Have a fabulous and day." So I stamped out "Have a Day" from the stamps and cut out the "Fabulous" from the same holographic cardstock. I cut the birthday out for this one and layered it up again. There's 3 layers of cardstock altogether, 2 white and the pink one on the top. So this is it, looking gorgeous already. The last thing that I did on the other one is just added few of the Nuvo drops, and this color is the bubblegum blush. I think it's gorgeous. It's such a lovely pink. So I'm just going to add little bits here and there on these strips. And just like that, our gorgeous card is ready. I think it is so lovely. It really is fabulous. There's a lot of room to write the message, and have to be careful because the Nuvo drops will take a few hours to properly dry and set, so I don't want to mess that up now. But I think it's such a gorgeous card. So there's the 2 of them side by side, nearly identical, just a bit of a different shade of the pink and just different way of arranging the little strips on my oval. So I absolutely love this. I really like the floating element to it, and I think it would really look nice with some shaker elements behind it. So that's something I might try in the future. So I really hope you liked today's tutorial, and if you did, please give me the thumbs up. And I will be back very soon with another gorgeous tutorial. Until the next time, bye!